Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and share. When I was growing up in Hong Kong, I was very fortunate to have a lady to work for my parents. And her name is Yoke in Chinese, and it can be translated in English as Jade. She cooked for our family, and she took care of me, and we have a very special relationship because she was like a mother to me. I have many fond memories of her, but the most significant memory was how extraordinary she was as a cook. I still remember when my parents came back from a trip to Singapore, they described to Jay a dish that they ate and enjoyed during their trip. Several days later, Jay cooked this dish for our family. I still can't recall the astonishment on the face of my parents, how surprised they find not only this dish tastes almost exactly the same as the one they ate in Singapore, but it actually tasted better. This story soon became a legend among my parents' friends. But it was not surprising to me at all, because I already knew that Jay was an extraordinary cook. Her cooking is always the best among anything else that I have tasted in my life. In fact, every time I think about Jay, I can actually taste the food that she cooked, which have impeccable flavor, exceptional texture, and always with a wonderful aroma. Her food always reminds me of the flavor of the street restaurant in Hong Kong, both then and now. When I was growing up in the 1950s and 60s, there are many street restaurants in different parts of Hong Kong. They were some of the most popular dining for most people in Hong Kong to go out to eat in the evening. They are usually relatively simple foods, and they cook right outside next to the restaurant. A table was set out right on the street, and people just enjoy the nice warm evening with wonderful food. Occasionally, when my parents were out of town, Jay will take me to eat in some of these restaurants. Some of her friends were cooks in this restaurant, and when she showed up, they treated her as she were a celebrity. The cooking in this restaurant was famous for one thing, and is frequently known as wok chi. The first character is wok as we know it. A second character chi can have two separate but related meanings. The first meaning means essence, which like the essential element of life, or it also means breath. So when you take the word together, wok chi can mean the essence or the breath of the wok. This concept of wok chi originated from the southern part of China, which is the Guangdong province. And in Cantonese, wok chi is pronounced as wok hei. For a long time, this concept of wok chi is mysterious to me. The only thing I know is that it makes food taste good, but I don't understand why. It was until about 20 years ago, I met a chef from Houston, Texas. He's a Vietnamese American, and his name is Danny. He came to the United States after the fall of Saigon. He told me that in order to understand wok chi, I need to understand a chemical reaction known as the Maillard reaction. He said he's no chemist himself, but understanding this chemical reaction play a critical role for him to be an excellent cook. The Maillard reaction can be demonstrated in this picture. The one on the left is chicken cooked at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and the one on the right is chicken cooked at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. The Maillard reaction is a chemical reaction that takes place when the food reaches a temperature between 250 degrees Fahrenheit to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. In this temperature range, food become more flavorful due to the Maillard reaction occur on the surface of the food. Any food that cooked under this temperature not only will become more flavorful, but they also will undergo a change in appearance, as in the case of baking bread. Sometimes we call this browning, but what happened is that the coloration is due to the change of the molecule on the surface of the food. This change do not occur if you steam food. When you steam, the temperature only can get up to 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the boiling point of water. But when you bake, as you can look at this bread, the color change as well as the change in flavor is due to the Maillard reaction that takes place at that temperature zone. When food cooks above the temperature of 300 degrees Fahrenheit, another important chemical reaction takes place that will make food taste better. In this case, this is a process of caramelization. Any food that contains sugar will caramelize. The alteration of the sugar molecule provide a delightful and pleasurable experience to the food, as indicated in this case of this creme brulee. This turned out to be a signature characteristic of this famous dish. This is also the case when you saute onion and carrots in a skillet. The final step in achieving wok chi is something that we all recognize, is that when the temperature in cooking the food that exceeds 400 degrees, when the food starts to actually burn and char, as in the case of cooking this hamburger. As you can see, the surface of the hamburger starts to char, but this also takes place when you do grilling. And the reason grilling is so attractive in their flavor is due to this charring process. So Danny told me that in stir frying, you can achieve all these 3 different steps of cooking. First is the Maillard reaction, and then you can cook the food at a higher temperature that will lead to caramelization of the sugar. And finally, you raise the temperature to the point that the food will undergo slight charring. After Danny explained this to me, I start to understand why the street food in Hong Kong tastes so good. Because they cook it under high heat, and it will allow them to rapidly achieve all these 3 different stages of cooking. Jay was able to achieve all these 3 steps as well without using high heat, because she was very skillful in control the stir-frying process by adjusting the various types of ingredients that she add to the wok. And by understanding this process, now I am also able to achieve wok chi in my home cooking. By understanding these 3 critical steps in stir frying, you can experiment, and gradually you will be able to achieve the same result as well. Due to the pandemic, I shut down my cooking school in March of 2020. And in April 11th, 2020, I started post video every day. And today is my consecutive 1,000 videos. I consider this to be a milestone, but it is really not the time for celebration because I have yet to be able to effectively to communicate my fast cooking system to a larger audience. I consider this to be the beginning because I hope that I will continue to improve my skill as well as my effectiveness in my presentation. Hopefully, I can help more people to make home cooking as part of their daily routine using my fast cooking system to make home cooking practical, efficient, creative, and fun. If you'd like to learn more about my fast cooking system, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.